Hello, good morning. Welcome to LTC Heroes Live. I am streaming from the press room at HIMSS 22. I'm excited today to talk to Sumit Nagpal. He's the CEO and founder of Cherish Health. I specifically told him right before we went recording, he was one of the people that I was most excited to talk to, and we will be having him back on the long form podcast. But I want to get to know him after 2 years of not getting to know people in person. It's great to see a face and see a human. Sumit, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here and great to see and talk with real people again.
Sumit, why did you come to HIMSS 22 this year?
Well, the most simple answer, I'm on the board. Um, and this is our event. And this is a grand reopening, and it's gone really well. We have more than 27,000 people attending. We have thousands also connecting remotely on our digital platform, and it's been fantastic. So that's my HIMSS hat.
I told my wife this morning, I've never been to a bigger convention. And I told my father, it's like 5 days. I came in for the executive summit. And I said, there's so much inspirational stuff. There's so many people I'm learning from.
Yeah.
I specifically said, one of the great things about going to a convention is when almost everybody in the room is smarter than you feel like you're just absorbing knowledge. So I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Out of 27,000 people, which person did you want to hug first?
Oh my God.
What friend, peer, mentor, mentee?
Holy smokes. Well, Jonathan Bush, who was on stage during the opening. I had the pleasure of having a lovely dinner with him the night before, and it was fantastic to get together again. Just a fantastic moment. All my colleagues from HIMSS, people who actually put the show together, just great to be back together with them.
We'll transition quickly into Cherish, but I want to know about the panel that you put together. Can you tell me what the focus was?
Great.
What you took away from it?
Great. So yesterday, for the first time at HIMSS, we curated and ran an entire session series focused on aging and loneliness. As you probably know, the over 65 population, that demographic is growing faster than any other demographic, not just in the US, but in most of the developed world. And in some places, people over 65 there are already more people over 65 than under 18. We'll be there by the end of this decade. And it's really a part of our population that over time becomes forgotten, winds up having to live in a world that is designed for people who don't have their challenges. So we felt that because it is such a foundational issue, people over 65, especially in their 70s, 80s, the hardships that they suffer, the challenges that they have, and the chronic conditions that they then live with, actually wind up, one, causing a lot of hardship for them, two, creating a lot of cost. And we felt that because this is the impact of that on our economies is going to continue to increase. We're already spending way too much of our economies on healthcare. As this population grows, we're going to be spending even more unless we start doing something about it. And a lot of these people are going to be, they're our parents, our grandparents, many of us are going to be living lives that are not being lived to their fullest. So we felt this is a really important topic for this audience to start talking about, thinking about, and start building solutions for. And so we launched the first Aging and Loneliness session series at HIMSS yesterday.
I know that this is your area of passion and expertise. Are there any comments, questions that came up yesterday that made you think, oh, I hadn't thought of that. That's insightful. I'm gonna ponder that.
Well, what really came across yesterday was what we saw was a tremendous desire, willingness for people from across the industry, from telco, from retail, and from health, to actually talk about the challenges. And that's a really fantastic thing to start with. There were some ideas about how to use 5G to address some of the challenges. There were some ideas around how do you pay for these kinds of services that were really forward-thinking, groundbreaking, new ways of actually bringing solutions into people's homes. And so I think to answer your question directly, while there weren't, tremendous insights, what was great in the conversations was an acknowledgement that this is a topic
Mm.
of concern, and that um, it, just from a pure market opportunity perspective, it's also a topic of great opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
and it affects us all very deeply. One of the things that is just very common in these conversations is within a minute or two, as you start talking about aging, someone says, "My dad, my mom, my grandma," and then they tell a story, a very personal story,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's very relatable. We all get it, and we all want people we love to live lives to their fullest for as long as possible. I think that became very, very apparent that people got the challenge and the reason that we're having this conversation.
That's a great segue into Cherish Health because coming here with press credentials, I received 200 to 300 pitches. I didn't receive one from Cherish Health. I found you. I reached out to you on LinkedIn and to your team. Your guys' website is amazing, and I want you to tell me. You've worn many hats. You told me before we hit recording you've been coming here for 20 years or so, and this year you come here with the hat of Cherish. Tell me a little bit about Cherish.
Awesome. So I'll actually talk about the website. Now we're really on our website, not yet talking about the product we're building. We'll talk more about that later this year. But what we have been doing for the past 2 years is also engaging with the people that that product will serve. So our website's really about that today. We have interviewed, 50 plus people from around the world in very, very highly curated ways and in depth to understand their challenges. People over 65, most over 75, to understand their challenges with everyday life. Our goal has been to give them voice and to let them speak for others like them,
Mm-hmm.
and give them a platform to actually have their voices be heard. And there's some allusion to where we're going with this stuff in terms of solutions for them.
Mm-hmm.
But this has really been, on the one hand, giving voice to them, on the other hand, learning from them. What that has culminated in yesterday as a part of the session series is we launched a movement. We call this Aging with Attitude. We launched a movement yesterday, and we're going to start seeing invites go out. There's going to be social media. There's going to be lots of online activity, kicking off with a bunch of meetups. There'll be a meetup in Times Square. You might see a flash mob of people over 75 show up and actually surprise the world. And so these are some of the things that are coming. And it's really all about actually bringing a population that people seem to, that seems to fade into the background,
Mm-hmm.
out in front. There are so many of them. There are many of us. There are parents, our grandparents, and it's really time to celebrate them and help them live the best lives that they can for as long as possible with as much joy as possible. Right. So that's what this movement is about.
So I recommend anyone who's interested in kind of our conversation to go visit the website. It's cherishhealth.com.
That's right.
It's a fascinating website. The website, what caught me right away are the faces, the eyes, the use of the language of story and storytelling. I signed up right away.
Awesome.
Whoever designed it got me at the pop-in and the lead magnet right away. So I'm on that list. I know that we're going to talk about the product later, probably in June. Can you, as the last question as we start to wrap up, what's your biggest challenge from now, first week of March 2022, up until launch date that you feel comfortable sharing?
No secret. The world is a complex place. It's become more and more complicated during COVID. It's become even more complicated because of geopolitics. We rely on a global ecosystem of suppliers. The challenges that creates are significant. We're all in this together. We're all pulling together. And when we launch, it'll be this great testament to people's ability to, essentially barrel through anything and work through circumstances despite all these challenges. So, from a challenge perspective, there's lots of environmental stuff happening that we are working with. Our tech is ready to go, and it's actually phenomenal. So we can't wait to share it with you.
I'm excited. Sumit, thank you so much for taking time to meet me here at HIMSS. I'll see you out on the trade show floor, and we'll have you back on the podcast in June.
Thank you. My pleasure.